Hey guys, welcome to another Pro Teachers Dupe. Today I have with me once again, Jared.
How you doing?
And today we're going over Superman Day of Doom, a book that clearly came out in response to 9/11. It came out in November 2002. What do you think?
Yeah, by the way, fun fact, I was telling Robert this before we started recording. Turns out I have this story, haven't read it yet,
Mm-hmm.
because as a DC Infinite subscriber, they send you a free graphic novel. So the first one they sent was like this trade that's
Ultra,
like a
I assume
collection.
Ultra you mean, right?
Well, yeah, Ultra, but it's part of Infinite. But the point is that they send you a trade that's like a bunch of like Death of Superman stuff collected. So I'm like, because he flipped through the art with this real quick, and I'm like, where
Mm-hmm.
have I seen this before?
And you saw it in there, but you haven't read it yet. Yeah,
I
like I
haven't
said,
not read it. I flipped through it. I haven't read it.
right. But like I said, it's so painfully obvious this was done responsibly. Let's be
Yeah,
honest. Doomsday was Metropolis 9/11 way before 9/11 ever happened.
yeah. He basically was.
And a big part of the story is it gives a different perspective that I don't think even Jurgens ever thought about until 9/11 happened,
Yeah, yeah.
which we'll get to. Now, make it clear, Doomsday does not pop up in this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is just about his death.
Okay.
All right. And yeah, so this is Jurgens on artwork with Bill Sienkiewicz on inks, and this is some of Bill Sienkiewicz's better inking.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yep. You know, the first time I heard of him, I didn't even think it was real. Didn't believe a man could fly till I saw him with my own eyes. Yo, dog, if I could do what he does, I'd play for the Lakers. I think he's way better than the spooky guy in Gotham. Steroids and a hidden rocket pack, that's all it is. Another planet that blew up. And see, it just goes to show that we have to embrace and protect our Mother Earth. Like I give a damn. The man is hot. I'd give anything for a date with him. Do you have his number? Come on, man. The name says it all. Whoa. Well, oh, man. Even with thinking with his inks, Jurgens cannot do wrong, can he?
No, the art in this is really good.
Yep. I've eliminated any chance of fire, Captain. Where do you want it? The investigators have done all they could here, Superman. Can you take it to their test site 2 blocks south? Consider it done. All right. What about the tanker cars loaded with toxic chemicals? What about them? Relax, it's Superman. Didn't see no rocket pack. Maybe I was wrong. By the way, I've secured the tanker cars. No worry there. You're the best, Superman. Damn right. How can you not love an environmentally aware hero or any other hero? You, reporter guy, where'd you say you were from? Metropolis. Hi, Duffy. I write for the Daily Planet. Oh, hold on 1 second. All right, just checking one thing. Anyway, lucky you. I bet you see Superman all the time. How well do you know him? How many times has he saved your life? 0. Look, all I know is the obvious. Brief, not boxers. Guess what they say about you Metropolitans being rude is true. Think they're better than us. Us because they got Superman to watch over them. Well, today he took care of Ohio, fella. Remember that. Uh-huh. Hello, Jen? Can you book me the next available flight? Tell Perry I'm done here. Ty? Not bad. But I'd like to see a little more details on the actual cause of the accident. Agreed, but the NTSB is sitting on an official statement. Looks like a common accident, Chief. Looks. Mr. Duffy, looks is not journalism. If an official won't go on the record, work with him until he says something off the record. That's where you get the truths. You don't buy the accident story? Kid, people died in that train wreck. Their families want an explanation. It's our job to give it to them. Do you want me to go back? Not unless something more develops. Right now, I have a new assignment for you. Something meaty? I want more than 3 inches of page 10, Chief. Right. Everyone wants to send their mother their first page, page 1 story, but it doesn't drop out of the sky. You have to earn it. My mother passed away a long time ago, sir. Sorry. Anyway, find the right story and work into it until it sings. Remember, a good reporter doesn't get great stories. He makes them great. I may have just the one. Yeah? The anniversary of Superman's death is this month. I want you to write up on it. Make me hear music, and the front page is yours. But we do that story every year. It's a rehash. Okay, anyway, Clark Kent's giving it his spin. So was Lois Lane. A couple times, in fact. That's why I need a new take, something fresh. You're the one to give it to me. But I wasn't even out of high school when it happened, and I didn't even live in Metropolis. Which is why you'll have a fresh take. And here's something I don't usually say it. No word limit. Run wild. Go nuts. Have fun. But, Chief, with all due respect, I'm not sure it's a story worth doing. Let's face it. Superman is alive. He didn't die. I'll have to read over your job description, Duffy. I thought it said reporter, not editor. Since you're new in town, and that's the only reason why I'm still letting you call me Chief, I'll cut you some slack. Superman's death traumatized the city, Ty, and as long as I run this newspaper, we will not forget it. Come on, let me show you something. I didn't just have these pages blown up like this in the lobby for decoration. They're a memorial. And those days were some of the darkest that I ever saw. It was as though an entire city had a knife plunged into its heart. When I heard what happened, my heart stopped beating. Son, as far as I was concerned, as far as the city was concerned, the world had come to an end. Superman had done so much, conquered so many dangers that we took him for granted. So long as he was around, I think we considered ourselves invincible. But Superman Metropolis is hell. Superman and the whole country are intertwined. When he died, we all lost something precious. Truth, justice, the American way. If a Superman could die, how could any of us feel safe? We were all wounded that day, not just because of what happened to Superman, but because of what happened to the city. Metropolis went to war against an unknown enemy, and a war has casualties. This Doomsday marched across America, leveling everything in sight, leaving a trail of victims and tragic stories. If not for Superman and the Justice League, I can't begin to imagine what the loss of life would have been. Those days were all about lost, Ty. People lined the streets to get newspapers and magazines that told the story. Some just kept watching the same footage over and over. They were mad, curious, and afraid. They wanted to know what would happen next. They wanted news, and that's our job. There's still one hell of a story to be written. And now, enough buts. Just get off yours, hit the streets, and write me that story. What do you think about Perry there?
Love that. Yeah, he's very encouraging. I like that.
And you get why he's doing it, but you also get the vibe of he's taking it more personal here.
I've always kind of felt that, like, Perry
Polar opposite of Jonah. He's the polar opposite of Jonah.
Well, yeah, but he also represents the zeitgeist of the entire city of Metropolis, kinda.
True, but I'm saying no, but you kind of get a slight vibe that maybe Perry's just won't let this go.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, why me? I have no interest in this. I'd rather write about the 2002 Metropolis Flower Show. Where do I start? What's the angle? It's not even like there's any mystery here. Hey, Miss Lane, Mr. Ken, can I pick your brain for a moment? Have we met? I'm Ty Duffy, one of the recent hires. Oh, you're the one that Perry assigned to the train wreck in Ohio. I'm working on a new story now. The chief, Mr. Wright, wants me to cover the anniversary of Superman's death. Any ideas? Why can't he ever leave that in the past? You agree the story isn't worth the ink. Hardly, but it does ignite some unpleasant memories. I was hoping to talk to Superman. Any chance you could set that up? I'm afraid not, Ty. What about someone else on the scene? A JLA member? How? It's not like those guys have any press agents. Besides, wasn't the JLA a minor league outfit back then? I suppose it did have its limitations, but there was one member who was fairly accessible. By the way, any news on what caused the train crash? No wonder Perry talks about you so much. You're both reporters done those dust. As far as I know, it was just an accident, nothing more. So, who were you thinking I should call? Now remember, Jurgens wrote those issues!
I know, that was great. I love that.
I know, but I love how he did, he then has Clark kind of pull back and like, they had their limitations, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, then of course, like, guess who's gonna have him call? It's the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows Kent was the sickest Rolodex in town. The man is Mr. Contact, but this interview is exactly hard to find. Word is he'll roll through a mile of hot coals for a paragraph of print anywhere. In fact, his reputation has me wondering if I'm wasting my time. What the? Hey, Duffy, you don't mind my compadre crashing the party, do you? The Blue Beetle needs to be humored. He's a manic depressive who needs all the support he can get. What did Booster say? Is he ripping me again? He didn't give you all that ball about me being a woman in the past, did he? That was good. That was Guy Gardner. Referencing the time when Guy got turned into a woman during his Warrior book.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, what have I gotten myself into? Because I was never a woman. Right. And you were never the fattest superhero either. I was not fat. It was a thyroid problem. Maybe I should talk to someone else. See what you did? Dude, I should have left you at home. Even though his story is a 5-part secret and series Secret of the Blue Beetle, maybe the Flash can help me out. Whoa, relax. No need to be insulting. We'll cooperate. What do you need, man? Hey, my man? The day Superman died. I want you to tell me all about it. And look, they switched from goofy to serious.
Mm-hmm. I love this.
Dark days, man. It all started in a vault deep underground. Who knows how long he'd been buried, and he's been there, buried alive, trying to break free. We found out later that that his punches were so strong that they registered on the seismographs all over the country. He was no more than a beast. He was more than a beast. More than a monster. He was a hurricane, a force of nature on 2 legs. He couldn't be stopped any more than you could stop the sun from rising. We had no idea of what was to come, of what we were about to face. Like, who knows how long he'd been buried there? Years, maybe even centuries, waiting to blow like a volcano. We had no idea what we were walking into. How'd you get involved? We responded to his news reports of a man-sized monster stomping through Ohio. Guy Gardner, Ice, Booster, Bloodwind, Maxima, Fire, and me. They need
It's
the
funny.
whole...
Bloodwind. Oh, you mean Martian Manhunter?
Well, yeah. In fact, that was the point where they teased it, and then he would reveal it in the issue after the death.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would leave the book.
Yeah.
Like I say, though, for a B team of Justice League, this wasn't a bad roster. At least it's better than Detroit.
Well, yeah, here's the problem. When it comes to character, because the Justice League is ostensibly supposed to be able to protect the entire world, I can't see this roster doing that.
You can't.
Cannot.
I would say this, though, it's better than what Europe was towards the end.
Yeah, it is, but still pretty crappy.
It's still pretty crappy, but again, there have been way worse.
There have.
But yeah, and so that's why I still enjoyed it to a degree. I mean, come on, Fire and Ice were part of the Europe team. Maxima, like I said, in concept, it should have worked. In concept.
That was kind of like their attempt to have another Wonder Woman, but I'm like...
Well, it was Maxima, yeah, but again, Fire and Ice were part of the Europe. So was Guy, and Guy was a Lantern, not a Green Lantern, but still. So was Booster, and I mean, you had 4 of the Europe team members here. Bloodwind was a secret project that Jurgens was working on, and Maxima is still a powerhouse.
But the problem is you have one, because here's the thing, you don't have enough powerhouses to be able to protect the entire Earth. I'm sorry, I just don't see it.
I agree. And well, to be fair, Europe wasn't powerful enough to protect the Earth, and yet they got the job done.
Yeah.
So how is it any different from the Europe team? Because the Europe team showed it can work.
I'm just saying, I can to a degree. I get why the Europe team has its appeal. I think if they were their own separate team, not labeled Justice League, it would have worked for more for me. The very fact that they're called Justice League, I'm like, you're supposed to protect the Earth from Darkseid. You can't protect the Earth from Darkseid.
No, but they did stop the Sparrow, and that is still something that you cannot look down on.
Yeah, but
And the Sparrow added when they became the big hulking red guy.
Despero has been beaten by weaker characters. It's not that much of a feat.
And I think that was the point when they made him the bigger threat that he would be. He would stick around and be.
But wasn't this also the team that had Batman on it?
Europe, very briefly. He did not stick around on them for long. They also had Martian Manhunter, who again didn't stick around for long. But these were also the guys who stopped Eclipso. They're the ones who stopped Eclipso, who is a powerhouse.
But Eclipso is nowhere near the power of Darkseid. I'm just saying, the Justice League has to be able to fight like the God characters.
Really?
They can't.
Eclipso is not Eclipso, Starbreaker. Not Eclipso, Starbreaker.
Who's Starbreaker?
He's a very dangerous guy. He's basically an adult Sun Eater.
Okay. I mean, I have to check out
You've ever seen the Adam Strange Planet Heist story? He was the main villain of that. During Dwayne McDuffie's run, he was a big threat in that story.
But you mean Dwayne McDuffie's Justice League run?
Yeah.
That had the Justice League that I'm more in favor of that could actually protect the Earth.
And again, Starbreaker was a dangerous threat there as well. The Justice League Europe dealt with him, and he was off the board for a long time because of how well they kicked his ass.
I guess I get the appeal of this lineup.
I'm just throwing out saying that they did still stop thrust. It wasn't all joke. It's part of the reason why a lot of writers will have people like Booster and all that tell off people who think, weren't you guys jokes? Hey, we did this and that. We still mattered. So I think that's one thing I get props for it. And I think here, if it wasn't for Doomsday, them dealing with Doomsday, it would have fallen. They would have fallen by the wayside. The fact that you have this moment here still gives them something to be remembered by.
Yeah, getting their ass kicked by Doomsday.
But they survived. Barely, but they survived.
Barely. And I feel like the scene in a book that you and I previously covered where Doomsday fights the actual Justice League, that was like Jurgens going, no, Doomsday would have defeated the stronger Justice League as well.
Well, true. But anyway. We're rambling.
Yeah.
Like, if superheroes have one drawback, or thousands like Beetle Boy here, is that they're so confident in their abilities that advanced planning and strategies are unheard of, especially Gardner. Tactics were as foreign to him as a bar of soap is to a camel. Dude, all you had to do was point at the bad guy, and bad guy would crank it up and kick major butt. Didn't matter if it was a 5-year-old girl who swiped a candy bar from a little brother or a Kuhaj warrior space fleet. His approach was consistent. Real ball in a china shop, huh? Which is why Gardner was the first to fall. Luckily, he didn't get his head ripped off. He was the first to face him. You mean Doomsday? The one and only. We all took our shots, but he laid us out faster than the Flash can get to the center of a Tootsie Roll. The Beetle still has a 6-inch scar on his scalp, and he did it all with literally one hand tied behind his back. If not for the chains, we'd all be dead. Hey, if you want some hot inside info, I was the one who named him. Why do you always have to grab the credit? Because it's the way it went down, Bugman. I went after Doomsday, but the sun was in my eye, and he got the better of me. Nailed me with a haymaker that sent me flying. If not for my force field, my skull would have been caved in. As it was, I was slammed a couple of 100 yards until trouble isn't the worst, Superman. I'm telling you right now, it's like Doomsday is here. Couple of things I tried to copyright the name to Max out on a t-shirts, but a comic book company beat me to it.
I love that. That's good.
Yep. Is there anything you won't do for a buck other than eating Rocky Mountain oysters? No. In any case, we still didn't realize how powerful he was. All we knew was that he was heading east to Metropolis, where things were about to get a lot worse. A quiet Metropolis suburb, present day. Now notice, Ohio. We mentioned they were in Ohio. Now we're in the outskirts of Metropolis. Boom! Everyone out of the area! The whole neighborhood smells like gas! It's a leak! What else could it have been? Oh man, I've never seen anything like this, Sarge. I have a few years ago on this very street. In fact, Doomsday marched through here, trashing everything in sight. Just like now. Someone is recreating Doomsday's destruction. But how was that first issue?
I liked it. That was pretty cool.
Yep, I like where this story goes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and look at this cover.
That's such a cool cover. The bloody Superman-esque, but it's on a balloon.
Yep. I wanted to be a reporter for as long as I can remember. Not for TV, but for print. So I could separate fact from fiction. Investigate, tell people the truth. There's so many lies out there. Someone has to force open their eyes. Make the public aware. Man, remember when people thought this way about journalism?
Mm-hmm.
So they don't swallow the same old stuff that the other media have been feeding us forever. Don't even get me started on the internet. Good intentions. And yeah, the road is the hell is paved with them. Do I get a chance to write about the war against terrorism, and the freedom to cover the president's questionable politics, the opportunity to probe into the preparation of big business? No. My personal road to perdition is so worn, it's a trench. I get to write about the deaths of a man who didn't even die. Again, I like his point of view on this. Mm-hmm, he's an outsider, and in his eyes, he's like, he's still alive!
Mm-hmm.
Like, double latte. Milk instead of cream. Well, if it isn't Ty Duffy, I thought you were in Ohio. That train wreck didn't keep me there as long as I expected, Cav. Must be exciting to live a reporter's life, traveling the world, covering important stories and all. Hardly, unless you consider covering flower shows and sci-fi conventions exciting. Not thrilled with your current assignment? I'm supposed to do a retrospective on Superman's death. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of guys meeting here for an interview. Psh, Mr. Reporter, newsflash, that Superman dude, he's alive. Funny, Kevin. See my problem? You're a talented guy, Ty. One day you'll be the head honcho, kicking your feet up, relaxing at the EIC desk. Nice image, but in the meantime, I have to create a story out of nothing. In fact, I hadn't heard. Natural gas explosion rips quite stubborn neighborhood. How could that happen here in Metropolis with him around? That's one of the things I can't figure out. I mean, Metropolis is the single greatest city on Earth. We have things that other cities can only dream of. And that's before you figure Superman to the equation. This bumper sticker says it all. Stuff happens. I thought it was shit happened. In Metropolis, more than anywhere else. And despite his rep, Superman can't be everywhere at once. Again, this Ty guy, I am liking his viewpoint. He clearly has a chip on his shoulder, and boy, he's a big chip, you'll find out soon. Mm-hmm. But he's not like Lex either.
No, he's not.
He's a guy who feels like, yes, is it the whole Superman's a fancy pair of long johns? Yes. But again, you'll see why later, and it's a gut punch. Mm-hmm. He has every right to be mad at Superman, and Superman has no way of trying to make him feel better. Mm-hmm. What does he do in his free time? Does he have fun? A hobby? Hell, he might even be married, be a family man. Is there someone who makes him happy? How else could he stand the overwhelming responsibility he carries on his shoulder? Now that's a story to uncover. You made it. Barely. JLA meeting. Anytime Plastic Man is there, we always go into overtime. Which I'll be working a lot of if I don't get to work. Look, you think you can get out of anything with your super charm, don't you? Come on. Actually, no, come on, I'll make it all better. And you think you can get out of anything with your super charm, don't you? You took the pictures, right, Jimmy? One of the most famous photos ever. And you witnessed the end. Yeah, what a day I remember so well. It's like it happened yesterday. I still have nightmares about it. Wake up with cold sweats every time. All afternoon, the news have been using the emergency broadcast system. Doomsday was on the march, heading right for Metropolis. SCU, Cadmus, National Guard, and Army. Everyone had taken their shot, stopping him, and failed. Even the rest of the JLA had been trashed. Our only hope was Superman. By the time the fight carried to the front door of the planet, there was no power, no phone service, no trains to get out. The city was a war zone. Superman had saved numerous lives, but it looked like he had been going to be, and he wasn't going to be able to save himself. The force of their blows shattered windows from here to Gotham. Across the entire city, buildings and homes shifted on their foundation. Every punch was like one explosion after another, each creating more destruction until two final heart-stopping blows delivered simultaneously ended it. I don't know why I took that photo. It was sick. Like I guess I was on autopilot, not really thinking about what I was doing and what was happening. It made me famous, but in the end, it wasn't worth it. In your mind, Superman saved Metropolis, no doubt. Without him, not one single building had been left standing. He minimized what could have been a major disaster. For most, not all. Silas O'Leary, former 43rd Precinct MPD. If you want to know what happened the day Superman and that day, forget Superman. He wasn't the story. We were. All the men, women, and children who were desperate to get out of the city but couldn't. Victims who have been forgotten. That's why I asked you here, Sergeant, to get the truth. Why now, Duffy? No one ever bothered to interview me before. I went to a hospital and got a list of patients admitted that day. It was huge. So that's where you got my name. Still don't see why it's worth digging up the past, though. I suspect we'll know once we hear your story. Fair enough. Ever hear of Murph's? Best Irish bar in town back then. That's where it started. The destruction, the carnage. We knew the monster was coming. People were either scrambling for shelter or trying to get buses that had been lined up to evacuate the city. It was chaos. I wasn't too worried, though. Figured for sure the monster would land somewhere else. Keep in line, people. We'll need your cooperation if we're going to get you out of harm's way. No bags, ma'am. We don't have time. To my photo album. It's all I have left of my son. It's Vietnam, anyway. Fair enough. Let me give you a hand. Oh, thank you. Thank you so very, very much, officer. You're headed the wrong way, kid. I want to see the beast, man, yo. Sweet Jesus! As soon as I heard the anti-aircraft fire overhead, I knew we were in trouble. And they wouldn't be doing that unless the trouble was coming. Doomsday came right down the middle of Murph's. When he hit the roar, when he hit, the roar was deafening. It's like a bomb had gone off. 83 people died when Doomsday slammed into Murph's. Those were the lucky ones. I took a 2x4 right in the back, shattered a couple of vertebrae, and severed some nerve endings. Unfortunately, I stayed conscious. I got to see what happened next. He crushed them, stepped on their heads whenever possible. That monster Doomsday walked right across the wounded. Oh, no, sorry, that's where it was. Wrong order. Walked right across the wounded. He crushed them. He lifted up 2 of the buses and shook out all the people who got tonight. A few were able to get up and run away, but not all. Doomsday used those bones of his to gut them. The old woman's photos landed near me. I saw him rip through one guy's belly and pull his spine clear through. I wanted to close my eyes, but the screams. Lord, when he was done, 312 people had been killed. But he wasn't done. He threw another bus full of people into a tank, setting off all the ammunition on board. By that point, he'd been on Metropolis soil for less than a minute, and I've relived those seconds over and over ever since. Now, how does that square with Superman's death? Tells me what the real story is. Meaning that this should be about the people who died and didn't come back, as opposed to the one who did. I don't blame him!
Exactly.
After all these years, and look at it. It's even when he went to Clark, when he went to Perry, when he went to Jimmy, and when he went to Booster and the others, it was all centered around Superman. But now this is where it swerves.
Yeah.
Now it's a point where it becomes less about that and about, again, this is where it becomes the 9/11 story.
Yeah.
Oh, just 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, welcome to the Mike Carlin Mental Rehabilitation Center, Mr. Duffy. Our guest is already waiting to see you. Mr. Loomis, call me Uncle Oswald, son. Everyone does. Prankster. I suppose you want to interview me about my old show? It was the highest rated kiddie show in Metropolis. It still would be if Morgan Edge hadn't bounced it in favor of that Bart Simpson and Creepy the Clown Samson and Creepy the Clown. Actually, Mr. Loomis, I'd like to ask you about Superman. Oh, no comment. I'm curious about your reaction when you heard Doomsday had killed him. Oh, well, why didn't you say so? Why, it was a holiday for me, a reason to celebrate. Now this is questionable continuity because Oswald was in prison. Because I remember there was that issue where he poured water on this one guy during a funeral for a friend.
I see.
So, whoopsie. Mm-hmm. But anyway, a reason to celebrate. And really? Tell me more. You must realize, dear boy, that just as any place of business has a hierarchy, so too does the underworld. Since the day when Superman arrived, it's been acknowledged that the man who eventually killed him would be awarded the status of king. Thus do I remember the day of his death. Long before thousands of dollars worth of plastic surgeries, dental work, and diet clinics. When I first heard the news, I wondered who could possibly have done the deed. Parasite? Sleaze? The Silver Banshee? Imagine my surprise when I saw it was the so-called Doomsday, something that no one had ever heard of before. A creature of mystery without a past, a joke without a punchline. But I saw the perfect gag for the setup. The streets were deserted at night. No one ventured out, save those who wished to celebrate. There are places in Metropolis that afford people like me the opportunity. Places where the law never treads. 666! The party was on. My audience awake. It was the perfect venue for my announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, hear me, and hear ye. By now you'll know full well that Superman was killed by the monster Doomsday. But brace yourself for the truth, for I am the creator of the monstrous behemoth. I built this toy from the indestructible material I invented called Singularus One. I enlarged it and equipped it to follow my telepathic commands. Applaud, cheer, throw money, my friends, but it was the prankster who killed Superman. I wanted them to bow in tribute, to kneel and worship me, and then take me upon their shoulders and carry me around. Instead, you laugh at me, the prankster, the man who freed you from Superman's tyranny? Nice try, Oswald, but Kilgrave and Toyman beat you to it. I'm the inventor of toys, Loomis. You are but a simple-minded jokester. Sadly, I become the victim of my own prank. But the joke was and wasn't just on me. Oh no! All the trauma, the outpouring of grief and tears, it was all worthless. The grandest prank of all. Superman didn't die! The world got its underwire in a ball for nothing! Nothing? That's where you're wrong, Loomis. That's where you're very wrong. I gotta say, again, it throws in the face of the continuity a little bit, but it still works.
Isn't it kind of funny how Jurgens contradicts his own continuity?
Well, to be fair, he didn't write that issue. That was a Stern issue.
But still, you should know what goes on in the stuff if you're going to do a story.
But to be fair, though, he probably could have also seen this as he could have gotten in bars after that happened. There was a gap.
But again, if you're writing a story that references that time period, you should read that and be familiar with that.
I agree. But again, for all we know, he could have gotten thrown into jail after that.
Okay.
Or he could have gone out of jail when that happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's true.
So again, in his bet, I think it's because it being the prankster was too good to pass up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, then again, no, prankster could be making this all up for all we know.
Mm-hmm.
For all we know, the prankster could be making this whole thing up.
Mm-hmm.
No, notice though, this is the Mental Institute in Metropolis. It's way better than Arkham.
Yep.
It looks like how Arkham used to be.
Yeah, it looks more like
a sanitarium.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, A moment of your time, Captain. Superman, what are you doing out here? Last night's explosion. What can you tell me about the cause? Looks like an improper fitting in the main line gave way and leaked gas until the neighborhood and the whole neighborhood blew. So was it an accident? Impossible to tell. I can't imagine anyone would do this on purpose. I mean, this neighborhood has been through so much. It's been rebuilding. This is the second time we've met. You know, the first time was back when Doomsday plowed through here. Now that I think of it, it was right on this very street. Oh dear.
Here we go.
Now we get into the funeral and the return to a degree. Oh, look at this!
The armbands. I love that. All the characters with the armbands.
Ty, it was the most amazing, unbelievable thing I've ever experienced. I mean, do you realize how close to death all of us came? Don't be stupid. And stupid is you thinking you can stop us. Yeah, we know your big rep, that you're fast and got that laser vision. Maybe get one, maybe even three of us. Maybe get two, maybe even three of us. But you ain't gonna get all of us. Not for we inflict serious lethal damage, all because you're too stupid to turn around and walk out. Superman seemed confident and cool as could be, but I was terrified. I had no idea what the outcome would be. Your terms. All right, it's on the way. We take a few extra passengers, and you guarantee safe passage to the airport and out of the country. Bring her around and bring her down, Rico. We got us a deal. Get to the roof and keep your eyes peeled for trouble. I couldn't believe that Superman was giving in, but I guess he had no choice. They march us up to the roof. I'm afraid of flying, and as it is, but with a gun pointed at my head, I thought I was going to wet my pants. Fly, Rico, fly! And Rico? Sorry, amigo. Rico punched out early. Seems he suddenly decided to spend the rest of the night hanging upside down from the flagpole. Superboy! You're expecting Jennifer Lopez? Allow me to remind you that your carry-ons must be stowed away. Ah! Superboy and Superman. I couldn't decide which was hotter. And everyone's safe. The ladies are fine. The others, leave them to me. You know Superman's heat vision? It can melt anything. Nice work, boss. Want to make this Batman and Robin routine a regular deal? Superboy and Superman together. The honeys of Metropolis will freak. And you get top billing. Geez, a guy comes back from the dead and he expects the world to roll over for him for eternity. See you, super dude. All in all, Ty, it's a night I will never forget. Sounds to me like Superman's actions were reckless and dangerous. His being there might have made things worse, Lydia. All I know is that everyone survived. The bad guys are locked up, and I'm alive and well. Where's the downside? Next thing you know, you'll be trashing motherhood and apple pie and the flag. That's not what I meant. Trouble Ty? Put in mouse disease, Perry. Well, what'd you think of my story? I'll let you know as soon as I read the rest. But I gave you the whole article, didn't I? Your story covers Superman's death well enough, but where's the rest? What about his funeral, Ty? It was incredible. The type of thing normally reserved for only the most celebrated heads of state. I think every single person in Metropolis turned out that day. And people were lined and scores deep along the funeral route. The entire General A came, and in a very private moment for them away from the crowd. The world's greatest heroes carried Superman to his final resting place. Later, the president himself delivered an incredibly moving eulogy. In short, the city was paralyzed for days. Superman made Metropolis synonymous with vitality and life. Suddenly, we were synonymous with death. For years, people had come from all over the world just to catch a glimpse of Superman. He was our identity, the embodiment of our highest ideals. Gotcha, Perry. And there'll be a story of the city's reaction to his death. If he'd actually died, we didn't know he'd come back. Any retrospective on Superman's death should include a look at the city's reaction. I'm sure it was sugar-coated hallmark moment for everyone. That's easy when someone comes back from the dead. Hell of a lot of people suffer because of Superman's presence. There's grief, and their grief endures, unlike the unnecessary tears spilled for the Man of Steel. Steel works. Let me get this straight. You want to set up a map marked up of the death and the past Doomsday took on his rampage towards Metropolis from back when you? Yes, with the location of the most damage and loss of life highlighted. Okay, give me a minute. What are you looking for specifically? We'll see in a moment. Overlap some of the recent accidents in the news from the area. There was the train wreck in Ohio, the gas leak explosion in the Suburban, the 17-car pileup on the interstate. I got the idea. Hold on. Just about done. I knew it. The paths are identical. Doomsday has a copycat. Hey, Ty, here to celebrate the fact that you finished the big story? Wish I could, Kyle. Unfortunately, my ogre of an editor decided he wanted more detail. As a result, I still have more interviews to conduct. You wanted to be a big-time reporter for the great Metropolis newspaper? Just give me the latte, smart mouse. Mr. Duffy, I presume. Father Nathan, thanks for meeting me here for the interview. My pleasure. Although I can't imagine how I might add perspective to Superman's death. I understand that you lived in California at the time. You see, it's your connection to Coast City that I'd like to explore first. Oh, God. It was a disaster beyond description. Superman's role in all this was that even on the West Coast, people were mourning the loss of Earth's greatest champion. Interesting enough, there had always been the speculation in some quarters that Superman wasn't really dead, that he was faking it, that he somehow come back, perhaps as a clone, more improved version, robot, or something totally unexpected. Such speculation was usually regarded as the talk of crackpots. But when all those rumors came true, as 4 men appeared, each claiming to be Superman, the world was mad with curiosity. The true disaster came when a ship hovered from the heavens, bringing hell to Earth, as one of the 4 Supermen ignited the Holocaust to follow. In a single instant, an entire city of 7 million people died. Even now, I cannot comprehend the true magnitude of that loss. All those people, the children who will never be born, the impact on the rest of the world. I don't have the words to describe the meaning of it. The mere thought of it overwhelms me. I had a friend, a cousin who died there. It was quick for them, painless. A few days after it happened, I went there into the area to help, only to witness a scene that still gives me nightmares. And true, Coast City was vaporized, but the heat and radiation from the blast left people suffering long, slow deaths miles and miles away. My skills were limited, but I did what I could. The healthcare professionals who came from all over the world worked tirelessly, but could only save a precious few. Soon they paid the price for exposing themselves to the radiation, and medical assistance I hope to give vanished as I worked night and day administering last rites to the dead. Those days, the results of the most heinous act of evil imaginable are forever seared in my memory, as is Superman's death for that matter. How so? Mr. Duffy, my life is dedicated to spreading the word of a man who died and returned to life. Does Superman's similar experience not complicate that message? Duffy, Ty, it's Perry Wright. We just got word that a local watering hole called Son of Murphy suffered a massive explosion. I want you to go over there now. You're pulling me off the Superman retrospective? Not at all. Places are being destroyed on a path that's identical to the pattern of destruction established by Doomsday. That and Superman's deaths could be related. You need a hand? More than you can imagine, Superman. Something's wrong with the water line. We got zilch for water pressure. If not for our tankers, we'd be totally helpless. I'll take care of it. Clear the area. Perfect. There's no denying the spectacle of it all. The majesty. Whenever I see someone fly, I can't help but feel diminished. It makes me feel so small, so normal. Watching Superman single-handedly put down a major fire does nothing to ease that feeling. Superman, great job, Superman. We could take it from here. What about the victims? Did anyone need help? Virtually no. Whoever bombed the place called in advance and the building was cleared. He floats over them as they talk, like it's beneath him to stand on their level, almost as though he considers himself a god or something. Superman, minute of your time. I'm sure you're aware that the anniversary of your death is right around the corner. Frankly, I try not to think about it. Really? Some are speculating that the destruction of this bar and other similar incidents are related to the anniversary. Any reaction? Until we catch whoever did this, there's no way of knowing. You're saying this is a coincidence? No, it seems to be the work of some insane maniac who has no appreciation for human life. Insane maniac? Is that how you see people who are mentally ill? Look, I meant no assault. I don't care. I am insulted. My father was diagnosed as being bipolar years ago. It's a condition that we as a family struggled a lot with. I don't mean any disrespect to your family. It was a hard way to grow up. I always sensed there was something not quite with my father, but as a kid, I couldn't or maybe didn't want to understand what it meant. As I grew older, his mood swings got worse and worse. 1 minute, the happiest man on earth, and the next, what did you say? Oh yeah, some insane maniac. As I said, yeah, no insults. And you'll say what happened next wasn't your fault either. I don't understand. We may have lived far from here in a small town, but we were still in the middle of Doomsday's path. My father required medication, and unfortunately, it ran out the day Doomsday attacked. Every pharmacist in town was destroyed. There was no refills available for days. Our entire community was paralyzed in every sense of the word. You see, my father really respected you. Your costume, so colorful and bright. Your deeds. For some reason, all that brought out the best in him. In short, he was your biggest fan, and I think deep down he wanted to be rescued by you. When reports of your deaths first came in, my father dropped to his knees in our shattered house, overwhelmed by grief. Pointless, meaningless grief. If there's anything I can do, hey, you did all and that you could. You fought the good fight and came back from the dead. What more can anyone ask? And your father? Well, let's see. Your death, Coast City's destruction, the loss of our home, and no medication. It was just too much. He committed suicide. Your fight was Doomsday, who came looking for you, and no one else caused thousands of deaths. Yet only you came back. How fair is that? It isn't. See what I mean? He has a good reason to be mad.
Yeah, he does.
And not for any direct action of Superman, but for his indirect action.
Yeah.
Which is why you have to consider what you mean to some people. The media calls you a symbol of heroism and life. In truth, you are a symbol of death to all those who lost someone during that terrible time, Superman. Somehow, in all your glorious resurrection, I doubt you've given that a moment's thought. I can't believe I actually said that. All those things. I'm shaking. I've been thinking about them for years. But to finally say it out loud, to him of all people, it's incredible. As if a huge burden has been lifted, and yet, Duffy, this isn't over. And
That's
look at this
cool.
one.
But yes, and that's really cool. There was a form of like resentment. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. I like that.
And again, it makes sense.
Because can I be honest? I was trying to guess what it was, why it was. I thought that like someone close to him got killed, and like maybe Superman like flew into a building, the building collapsed and killed someone close to him. But then
you were thinking BBS. You were thinking BBS, in other words.
In this, I'm like, okay, I like the way I like the way the BBS did it, to be clear, but I also like this way, because this way, it's kind of not Superman's fault.
It's not Superman's fault directly, but it's the unfairness of it.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's the best way, because I think if it was Superman's fault, it would have been a different thing altogether.
Mm-hmm.
But having it be not his fault, but in a way, indirectly his fault. And it's more the fact that he came back that really ticks Ty off.
Mm-hmm.
He came back when a lot of other people didn't.
Mm-hmm.
To some, Superman represents life. To me, he represents the internal embrace of death. Now, this is a character that is only for the story, and it's by far the most frustrating part, and he never gets a resolution.
Mm-hmm.
You have earned my gratitude, Mr. Duffy. For the longest time, I felt I was alone in thinking that way. Imagine how pleased I was to learn you agreed with me. Which explains why you have me in the sewer. What do you do, and what do you do with people who disagree with you? You are a reporter for the Daily Planet, correct? So, you are here to witness a story and ultimately to report it. You've gone to a lot of trouble for an expose on Metropolis sewer systems, mystery man. I am the remnant. This is one story that can't be written in that quaint little coffee shop you frequent. You've been following me? Let's just say that I'm resourceful. Resourceful enough, in fact, to have read your story on Superman's death. It's brilliant. If that's the version with my editor's comments, you can see that his opinions differ from yours. That is because your editor is unwilling to accept the truth. He refused to see Superman for what he truly is, the looming death of us all. And to Ty Duffy, I represent death. His father was bipolar, and so scattered and shattered by my so-called death that he committed suicide. How many others feel that way? I've tried to put all of that behind me. I've always wanted to be perceived as normal, as someone no better than anyone else. It's hard enough to be perceived that way when you can fly, when you can come back from the grave. It's a hell of a lot harder. And now it seems that the Daily Planet isn't the only one to key in the fact that tomorrow is the anniversary of that awful day. Someone has created a path of destruction that duplicates Doomsday's original march to and through Metropolis. Research time. Maybe there's something in past stories that will provide insight as to who would do this. After all, when you can read as fast as I can, it only takes 3 minutes to read every word ever written about Superman's death. Nothing. At least nothing I can discern. Kent, what are you doing here? Hi, Perry. Just checking in. Why are you here so late? I'm looking for Ty Duffy. He owes me a story, but he's dropped off the face of the earth. I saw him a few hours ago, covering the explosion on Son of Murphy's. He seemed fine. Then, why hasn't he called or answered his cell phone? His story is supposed to run tomorrow. He's young, Perry. Probably torturing himself over the final rewrite. It's more than that. This piece he's doing on Superman's death seemed to have knocked him off his kilter. He didn't appreciate my comments on the first draft. That's the problem with these hot new writers. They cannot handle editing. It's not the editing that's twisting and Duffy inside out. It's his grudge against Superman. Wait, why did I see this before? I've researched everything written on Superman's death while ignoring everyone else's. Now let's check every single death that occurred while I was away and look into Doomsday's past, not just in Metropolis, but elsewhere, everywhere. My God. There are so many that one way or another were connected. After all these years, only you dare to deal with the reality of what happened, Mr. Duffy. Only you found the courage to tell the world of the domino effect initiated with Superman's presence in Metropolis. He shouldn't be here. He should be on another planet. The world threw itself into a frenzy as it mourned him. His death was so large in scope that it dwarfed the deaths of all the others who died because of Doomsday's rampage. Right, individual stories were written about individual deaths, but no one grasped the totality of what happened, the true loss. How could they, when everyone was grieving a god, and when he came back, the world forgot about the others? Yeah, to the average person, Superman never died, so no one else did either. Superman could have exposed the plight of all those who suffered the loss of loved ones, but such a move would have revealed him for the threat that he really is. You tried to tell the world, but the truth, but you were stopped. Now it's my turn. What about me? The Daily Planet, the architect of Superman's ascension to the highest of pedestals. For that and more, a price must be paid. What a day. I'm beat. Can't wait to soak in a tub and... Clark? What's wrong? I never knew how bad it got. Never took the time to comprehend what happened. One thing? No, nothing. Reset, Clark. What's happened? When Doomsday hit me for the final time, I was gone. I didn't even know how to describe it, but in every practical sense, I was dead. But you weren't. Doesn't matter what I was. But the fact is that I was gone for days. Gone for so long that I never really got the whole story of what happened to my city and all the people who lived here because of Doomsday. And when I finally did return, I was thrown into an even worse situation. One of the 4 men who claimed to be me was actually as evil and twisted as they come. He and that alien tyrant Mongol wiped out Coast City in order to construct a giant engine that would actually move Earth out of its orbit. I was weak and had to travel in a Kryptonian warsuit while I healed. Otherwise, they never would have had the time to do what they did. Sure, I stopped them. The media focused on the Coast City's destruction and Superman's return. When I finally did get back to Metropolis, the fanfare was overwhelming. People were so happy to see me alive that I didn't see the obvious. That being, the JLNA and I fought Doomsday in numerous places during its march across America, until it ended in front of the Daily Planet. All the way, the destruction was so massive that there were victims everywhere. But the fight was so intense and fast-moving that I couldn't. I wasn't able to stop and do anything. There were victims along the way, people I should have known about and helped. God help me, Lois. Just didn't know. I don't know what's brought all this on, Clark, but you, as always, did your best. You gave up your life for everyone. You didn't know you were going to come back. What's past is past. Focus on the present, on stopping this copycat killer. Good point, Lois. I still can't believe what someone would try to duplicate what Doomsday did. Clark, I just happened to think, what if it's Doomsday? What if he's back? No, it's too subtle for him. Someone is being very calculating in these strikes and taking their time. Why, and who would want to do this? Duffy's father took his own life because of what happened. As a result, Ty resents Superman. How many people out there agree with him? This could be one of them, desperately trying to make a point. Sick, but logical. I'll do some research while you stand guard. Stand guard? Where? Tomorrow's the anniversary of Superman's death. The next target has to be the Daily Planet's office. I'm on my way. Minutes to midnight. Something's going to happen soon. I can feel it. That truck is in the no parking zone right in front of the Planet. Quick look will confirm if it's trouble or, oh, line with lead so I can't see inside. In that case, Superman, I knew you'd come. At least you can see your you can see your true legacy. Who are you? I am the memory of what you did, a ghost of tragedies past, a remnant of the chaos you heaped upon this world. Trust me, I feel awful about what happened, and as someone tried to remind me, I did everything that I possibly could to stop Doomsday. Really? Did they also ask you to ask why you didn't move the fight elsewhere? Like a desolate valley or a lonely desert, someplace isolated where there could be no collateral damage? Doomsday wanted you. He would surely have followed you, away from innocent bystanders. That's impossible to say. He was a force of nature unto himself. Ruthless, brutal. When I met him outside Metropolis, he plowed through and just kept going. He wouldn't have followed me any more than a tornado or a hurricane would. Lies. You never even tried. It's easy to look back with 20/20 vision. The fury of battle doesn't allow luxury. Your many victims laid out in front of you would disagree. Have you read the stones, the names? Does even a single one ring a bell? Timothy Duffy. I talked to his son earlier today. He is not my victim. I didn't kill him. Maybe not directly, but you were involved. He worshipped you. Read the names. If not for you, William DeBrus wouldn't have suffered a fatal heart attack that day. Connie Davis wouldn't have been crushed under a falling building. Clarence Greenwood wouldn't have burned to death. Who are you? Ty Duffy? I am anonymous, the drifting wind that hears the moans of the forgotten. I do this for them. The lead walls might have been hiding more than a holographic graveyard. If there's a bomb under the floor, nothing. The cab, clear. And there has to be more to this than what I've seen. But what? Up here, Superman, the more destruction is at hand. It is time for your official public relations machine to fall. Another lead box. What's inside? A bomb? That and more. There's a person inside. The heartbeat's familiar. Perry, you'd kill an innocent? Innocent? He sings your praise at every opportunity while refusing to tell the truth about what you've done. I won't let you do this. You have no choice. It's midnight. The date of your crime is at hand. Let the rubble of this building reveal you for the true hazard that you are. Gone. I have to move fast before this thing. You okay? There's a bomb in here. I know. Hang on. Papers? Copies of your writer's story. Duffy's trap. These things will blow over the city. Looks like the remnant made his point after all. Everything that wacko remnant is thinking, don't put any stock in it, Superman. He's wrong. We couldn't survive without you. No sign of him anywhere. I don't know where he's and how he vanishes like that, but he's gone now. Though I do see one person who needs a hand. Duffy, you okay? I'll be a lot better once you get me out of here. Though it is though I have to admit this is kind of awkward. Superman isn't the ogre you think he is, son. Ogre? No. Insensitive? Maybe. Once I fought to the death right here on this spot. I had never, ever faced anyone so unstoppable as Doomsday. I was afraid, not for what he'd do to me, but afraid of the probability that he'd win and that he'd tear this whole city down and kill more people than I could possibly count. Fortunately, I stopped him, but his actions did make me realize something. I understand how you feel, Duffy. My life, every part of it, it has an effect on others. And perhaps there are better ways to fight for truth and justice than with my fists. The remnant wasn't above killing people to make his point. So if you want to be a good reporter, don't back off from the tough questions. Ask yourself this. Is the world a better place without me, with me or without me? If I'm gone, do you get fewer doomsdays or more coast cities? This is what I have to live with. I'll be interested in hearing your conclusion. This does end though with a bit of a thud.
A little bit, yeah.
But it's still touching. I love that. Would you get fewer doomsdays or more coast cities?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So
arguably, Coast City led to more death because it led to not only the death of the city, but the Green Lantern Corps as well.
And all the stuff Hal did as Parallax, including 0 Hour.
Yeah, exactly. So what would you... one has to happen. What would you rather have happen?
Yep. Now, what did you think about that story?
It was fun. The art's great. I really like when they put Superman in situations where it's either not really his fault or he's not really as in control of this situation as the accuser thinks he is.
But they don't care at the same time.
They don't care. I know, but that's.
I feel like there should have been one more issue. If you ask me, this feels like there
could have. But what I was going to say is that this is kind of why I dispute when people say Superman is hard to write for.
Oh no, he's not.
He's not, exactly. He's not. Because these stories right here make creative use of a character that has the powers of a god, and a lot of Superman's most compelling stories deal with what gods actually can't do.
In this case, yeah, he couldn't. Like, even when he came back, and I do like it. I mean, do I buy the fact that he didn't pay attention? They do justify it, but I have to admit, part of me doesn't buy it. Part of me, at least not in all the years since.
Plus, we know he didn't actually die.
No, I know, but I'm talking about, though, looking into all the people who did die. Maybe not the first few years, but a couple since then.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that.
I don't buy that he would never have looked.
Yeah, I think he would have checked it out.
But overall, though, this was just a phenomenal story. And again, yeah, it gave the 9/11 vibe.
It's very much because there was a lot of like themes in the dialogue that I picked up, and I was like, yeah, I'm getting.
It gives a context that they just brushed over. I think it's poking at how a lot of times you have all this needless destruction and no one thinks about the other victims.
Yeah. And it was cool because it's kind of like in the DC movies that they had in Man of Steel, that last fight that led to a lot of victims, and then BVS is Superman dealing with the consequences of that fight.
But in this case, they actually acknowledge the fact that no one has brought this up before. Why? They kept it themselves, or they just were so blinded by it?
Well, it's because, remember, in this, compared to the movies, in this, Superman is more widely accepted here because he's been around for longer. So, of course, people be like, Superman's back to life! Yay!
Exactly. But not only that, though, but I think this shows how much 9/11 changed how people view comic stories. Mm-hmm. I think, because when you think about it, up until 9/11, most people, when they would have that big destruction, they wouldn't think about the casualties.
Mm-hmm.
For them, it was inconsequential.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what happened during Busing and Perez's Avengers. They wiped out an entire country's population so that Ultron can make up its face in space.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. And yet, did they play up the ramifications? Nope, they just brushed it aside.
Yeah.
And the same was Doomsday. When you look at it, it was made very clear. They kept jumping. Yes, we see some people get killed off. But they never played up on how many truly died. Like, have it be, just as soon as they landed, he just gutted all those people before Superman made it there.
Yeah, I mean, when we first see Doomsday, he crushes a canary.
Well, not just that. I'm talking about once he got to Metropolis. I remember that one where he lands there, he's like holding these two guys like, roar!
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we don't know what he did before then. Well, now we do. He just totally just mindlessly slaughtered people.
Exactly.
But the fact that this Remnant guy, this Remnant was the weakest part of this story. I'm sorry. It was the weakest part because we don't get any resolution.
True that.
It would have been one thing if Jurgens has done something with him since, but he hasn't.
I'm surprised Jurgen won't, because here's the thing about Jurgens. I've said about this on this show a lot. He seems to, whenever he writes Superman, have to bring up one thing from the death of Superman era because he's a one-trick pony. So
Hey.
If he keeps bringing up the one thing from the story he's known for, what does that mean?
But he still makes new characters too. He still made a bunch of new...
Most of the time they're in reference to the death of Superman.
Not all of them. Not all of them, except for Hank Henshaw and Superman Lois. He did more original stuff in that mini.
Yeah, but have you noticed that even the modern day, whenever you want to do Superman,
how much of that is him being asked to do it though?
No, but still, it doesn't matter. His name's on the book. But the point is, my point is, of all the thousands of references he makes to this one story, he doesn't bring up this character. This would actually be a pretty good character to bring up nowadays, I think. I
should tag him in on Twitter about this. I can ask him, like, whatever happened to Remnant? Who was Remnant?
Yeah, that's a great idea, dude. Because, I would like... This is the one time I'm like, please reference the death of Superman. This character's great.
Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting thing, but it just ends with flat because it never gets resolved.
Because here's the thing, because we're technically in a rebooted continuity. I never know with DC now.
Well, the dead is still around, though.
Yeah, but if they did... my point is, yes, the death still happened. They could apply him to like another situation when it comes to Superman.
True.
But still, the point is, there's ample space for them to bring this character up. And I would encourage it because it's cool, because it shows Superman there are consequences to his actions.
Exactly. Now, to be fair, Ty's only appeared in these 4 issues, and I like Ty. Ty is one of those better cases of a writer who has a stick up his ass for a good reason. Would you agree with that?
True. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, that was Day of Doom. Great story. Really still holds up. A bit of a thud at the ending, but overall, very good. Thank you for everyone joining in. We'll see you on the next one.